The Ducks were supposed to be dominant, but in the end just could not get it done. Mark Rogers TV, just minutes after Stanford went into Autzen Stadium and defeated Oregon 17-14 in overtime. And the BCS is completely busted up because at the same time, Baylor trounced Kansas State in Waco 52-24. But I want to focus on the Stanford effort against Oregon. The front seven on defense was spectacular. Terrence Stevens and also Henry Anderson were great players up front for Stanford in controlling the Oregon running game, holding the rushing attack to about 200 yards. And of course, Chase Thomas at linebacker and Shane Scove, they made big plays in the backfield. The Stanford front seven, highly touted, but in terms of speed, has been questionable in recent years against Oregon, was able to contain things on the perimeter and played extremely well. Harassed Marcus Mariota on a consistent basis, and Mariota did not put up the numbers that he's accustomed to. And again, all you have to do is look at the scoreboard and see an offense that's accustomed to scoring 50 and 55 points a game, even against capable defenses, with 14 against Stanford. The play by cornerback Terrence Brown all night, just look at the plays that he made in breaking to the football, defensing passes, was extremely impressive for the Stanford defense. Again, holding Oregon to 14 points, and that's even with the Cardinal giving up 3 turnovers. So Oregon had its chances and had good field position at times. Kevin Hogan, Stanford quarterback, redshirt freshman, just took over this offense from Josh Nunes a few weeks ago, really faced his first hostile environment at Autzen Stadium. And boy, the stats were not glittering, but he was poised. 25 of 36, threw one really bad pick in the first half. Stanford, again, turned it over 3 times. And so they really dominated this game in the trenches to be able to withstand 3-1 turnover deficit and still win this football game. Stephon Taylor had a couple big fumbles, but was a workhorse. Give all sorts of credit to Stephon Taylor at running back for Stanford. 33 carries for $161. But again, on that last drive, it was the plays made by Hogan. He threw a couple balls that he was going to his left, had to throw across his body, and made great throws. And of course, the game winner to Zack Ertz in the corner of the end zone that had to be replayed and reviewed and looked at for minute after minute. And finally, it was ruled that he got the shoulder inside the sideline and brought it in for the game-tying touchdown. And then something that Oregon suffers from in big games. One thing is that they do not focus on special teams, have usually not had good kickers at Oregon, and specifically in recent years under Chip Kelly. Maldonado missed a field goal in overtime, therefore Stanford converted the 3. Didn't have to put the football in the air, and just ran Taylor down the middle, set up the 37-yarder. So Stanford wins it. A solid effort. Very impressive. They go to 9-2 with a victory. So it busts up the BCS. We'll be talking about that in the next few days in regards to what the scenarios are. But again, Stanford now controls its own destiny to march on to the Pac-12 championship game if it can defeat UCLA next week and then play UCLA again in the Pac-12 championship game. Again, we've got so much college football to talk about and conference championship games and BCS scenarios in the next few days. This is just the start of it. Stanford with a huge win over Oregon, 17-14 in overtime. Tell us about the Cardinal and the Ducks. Would love to hear from you on Mark Rogers TV.